Welcome. I'm wondering if anyone's out there. Welcome to DTH On Demand, Dance Theater of Harlem On Demand. My name is Ramona Lisa Ortiz-Smith, and I am here to offer you an introductory meditation class. We had some technical difficulties, so I hope some of you are still with me. If not, I hope you enjoy this at a time. Thank you. And I'm just going to put that in the chat. We had some technical difficulties. Thank you for your patience. All right. Oh, great. I see that there are 7 people with us at this time. And just in case you're just joining me, you could see in the chat that we had technical difficulties, but we're on. And at this point, I'm going to still plan on going for an hour. So if you can stay with me, great. If not, I understand. And I hope you can revisit the video at another time. And actually, it's a 45-minute class. So we'll finish. It's about just about almost 4:15. So that means we'll be done around 5 and have some time for questions and responses at the end of that. So, and let me get myself situated here as we were ready to troubleshoot. And you know what? You know what I was doing? You know what I was doing while we were troubleshooting? Meditating, practicing mindfulness, being in the moment. And you know what? I wasn't stressed. Yeah, I was a little concerned, hoping that somehow on your end there was some notice that things weren't going as planned. So, yeah. So again, just in case some of you just came on again, my name is Ramona, and I am a DTH alumna. I was at Dance Theater of Harlem from 1984 to 1993, basically my late teens through my late 20s. And yeah, I traveled and toured with the company and taught and danced also with the workshop ensemble for during that time. Traveled internationally and domestically, and really was blessed to uh, follow my dream to be a dancer, a ballet dancer. So life has changed and gone on, and I am now a what am I? I'm a mother, and I also, I guess, would be called a meditator. And in this time, I am a sole proprietor, freelance person. And I do most of my work in the Dharma and in meditation, whether it's spiritual practices or leading meditations, talking about the Dharma. And also, I help or support other Dharma and mindfulness-based organizations with administrative things. So I want to know who's here. I am here in California. And, I like to acknowledge that I am on land that was previously lived on by indigenous people. And the land I live on is the California, or not, I'm in California, and it's the Coast Miwok land in Northern California. Yes. So if you'd like, put something in your chat. Let me know where you are, where you're coming from. And yeah, that'll be great to see who's here. Let's see. Yeah, thank you. I see some people helping me out. Great. So tonight's class, again, I'm going to offer you a basic understanding of meditation. And this time we're going to focus a little bit on mindfulness. If you saw my last YouTube, great. If you didn't, great. This is nothing that you need to be prepared for. You need not have any experience, and you definitely didn't have to be on the previous YouTube call. One of the things that we talk about, or that guides us when we're practicing meditation, is beginner's mind. So it's always great to just sit and start and begin again with a fresh mind and a fresh perspective. Oh, great. Let's see. Oh, okay. I see my daughter's on here from the Bay Area. And I see there's somebody from Brazil. Wow, Brazil. Hello. And Wilmington, Delaware, and another Bay Area. Wonderful. The good thing about, these YouTubes and Zoom is that we get to connect with so many people from so many different places and so many different backgrounds. And for meditation, it's really helped in a way to spread the teachings of meditation and what I practice, the Dharma. So I'll talk a little bit about how I learned to meditate, and I'll lead you through a guided meditation for about 20 minutes. And I'll offer some suggestions at the end on how you can incorporate mindfulness and meditation into your daily life, should you choose to do so. And then there'll be time at the end at around 5 o'clock where you have an opportunity to ask me questions about my dance career and also to ask questions about meditation practice, and I will respond. One of my mentors, Dara Williams, she always offers us questions and response, because even if we're in the teaching seat or the sharing seat, as I like to say, I may not have an answer, but I can certainly do my best to respond. So I'm curious, are any of you meditators or want to be meditators or used to be meditators or thought about meditating? And who has no experience meditating? If you want to put that in the chat, great. And again, it doesn't matter, because every time we sit, it's really refreshing to know again that we can begin again. So let's start with mindfulness. So there's so many definitions about mindfulness. I'm actually attending a mindfulness certification training. Mindfulness has become so popular that you can get certified in it. And with COVID, life changed for me, like it has for, I would say, everybody, because COVID wasn't here before, it's here now. So that's a change, and it's impacted us all in so many different ways. So I had planned to be in another training program, and that got canceled because of COVID, and I decided to continue with my motivation and get into a mindfulness certification class. And we were asked to come up with a definition for mindfulness, and it was really difficult. So I'm not going to share that because we didn't refine it. But what we did come up with was our 30-second commercial or elevator speech, something that I learned in business school. It's like, if you have a deal or a project or something, you need to close it and wish a 30-second spiel, because people don't have time to listen. And so my 30-second spiel, along with my colleagues, we came up with mindfulness is be here now and know it. It sounds pretty simple, but how many times have you been on the road or walking down the street or in a store? For example, if you're in a store and all of a sudden you're in another department, you're like, how'd I get to the cereal section? Because your mind was somewhere else. You weren't present. You weren't there now. You were there physically. Mentally, you were somewhere else, and they weren't together. So mindfulness, in my opinion, helps to bring that together. Here's a quote from one of the teachers in the program, Martin Aylward. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but Aylward. And his definition is mindfulness means giving close, curious, and caring attention to whatever arises. We are learning to meet life more deeply than we can imagine, to live more fully, more fluidly, and more freely. It's good to think about, what does mindfulness mean to you? I'm sure you've heard of it before and have a basic understanding of it. And if this is your first time, wonderful. Here's some other definitions. Clear awareness is what Bhikkhu Bodhi says. He's a Buddhist translator. Present moment recollection is what some of the early Buddhist scholars say. The awareness that arises by paying attention on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. That's John Kabat-Zinn. Some of you may have heard of him. He's really popular in the mindfulness sector and in the secular sector. So there are many ways to describe it, and I think why it's so hard to describe is because it's an active thing. It's an active thing that we do. And Meditation is one of the techniques that we use to develop mindfulness, to cultivate awareness, and to cultivate a way to live fully in life in the present moment. You'll hear me talk about or refer to Buddhist terms and Buddhist philosophy because that is the tradition that I follow. I follow the Theravada lineage, which translates into the path of the elders. And I have been practicing as a devoted Buddhist practitioner for more than 12 years now. However, I also want to point out that you need not be Buddhist to meditate or to practice mindfulness. Meditation, which is, the technique we use to cultivate mindfulness, has been around for thousands and thousands of years. It's said to have, there's early, I guess, what do you say? There's early knowledge or early records of its beginnings starting in India. And that's also where the Buddhist practices have come from. The Buddha, who in my tradition is known as Siddhartha Gautama, he was also from India. So Buddhist philosophy began in India and it spread all over now. It spread a lot of the different places. But it was a surprise to me that it was India, actually. I had so much experience with Zen Buddhism and certain things with Japanese influences and Chinese and Tibetan influences, and that I didn't realize early on that it was an Indian tradition, that it came out of India. And so, again, I want to liberate you and say, please don't feel like you need to believe or be a Buddhist practitioner to practice meditation. I just like to share the knowledge that I have and also to share my personal experience because that's what I do. And one of the things, I really started meditation uh, over 25 years ago while I was a dancer at Dance Theater of Harlem with my friend and colleague at the time, Sophia Morris, who is now the person who has invited me to do this YouTube live stream. She works at the Dance Theater of Harlem now. And she taught me how to meditate on her bed. And if you want to hear that story, go back to the last YouTube. I don't want to bore you. So, but I started meditating with her and I had some profound experiences and I just kept doing it throughout my life. And then fast forward several years later, I was feeling really stressed, really tired, really like I was just running on the treadmill in my life. And I wanted to take a break and get off the treadmill and just stop and pause. And I didn't know quite how to do that. I just felt like, I said, you know what, I just want to take a year off and do nothing. What a luxury. I didn't do that. But my brother, John Ortiz Hudson, introduced me to Spirit Rock Meditation Center and Silent Vipassana retreats, which is insight retreats. And I went there and had a retreat, didn't know it was Buddhist. And I was a little nervous seeing all these Buddhist statues and things. But the first thing my teachers did was liberate me and say, you do not have to be Buddhist. You do not have to let go of anything that you already practice, believe in, to benefit from these teachings. They're wisdom teachings that can be shared and that anyone can benefit from. And I just was like, so, yeah, it was a liberating experience. And so we practice insight meditation, basically, again, similar to mindfulness, focusing on what's up at a time, what's up in the moment, what's happening now through so many different techniques. And one thing that I want to say about mindfulness, or a couple of things I want to say about mindfulness, is that I want to, I guess, dismiss some of the myths, or not necessarily myths, but some of the things that people say that might deter them from practicing mindfulness or meditation. And that is, it's not necessarily about cultivating a special state of mind. I did achieve some of that when I was practicing meditation in New York by myself. I didn't know what tradition it was from. I didn't know it was anything formal. I didn't even know it was Buddhist then. And so I actually tried for many years after that. I had profound experiences that changed my life. And that's another sharing at some point. And so from then, for many years, I was like, I got to get clarity. I need to get that same thing again. I'm going to meditate. I need the answer. And it didn't come. It didn't come. So I had to let that go and realize that just like in dance, there's a benefit from practicing, from sitting regularly, daily, just like we go to the bar in ballet and do, well, I don't know if DTH still starts in 6, but most ballet companies start in first position. We started in 6. Sorry, I had something that I was getting my sleeve caught on. I need to toss it away. All right. So, um, so it's not about getting to a special state. It's about being in the present moment and learning to relax there. And also, so you can let go of any expectations you have. And it's not about trying to control your mind, because the mind does what it does. And it's not about not thinking, because the mind thinks. We have thoughts in our brain. That's what it does. But in the practice, what you can do is learn to sit with and be with your thoughts. One of the analogies that works for me that one of my teachers shared, and I've had the good fortune or fortune of being able to sit and practice with so many different teachers because of the line of work that I was in. But anyway, they tell us about these, think of your thoughts as like clouds in the sky. They just keep coming and coming and coming, and they pass away. They pass on by. Some days are cloudier than others. Sometimes there are storms. And you can think of your mind that same way. Sometimes you're full of thoughts, racing mind, thoughts that you can't get rid of because you're trying to get rid of them. So that's part of it. What you resist persists. Uh, and then so for me, what mindfulness does and what I've been taught is that it teaches me to be like, oh, thoughts. I've got thoughts. And I eventually learn how to discern the thoughts I want to follow versus the thoughts I want to let go. If I get a good idea or something that I'm stuck on, sometimes I'll jot it down and that kind of gets it off my mind. But you're going to think. And you can simply note thinking mind. And I get caught up still. I get into a thought and I'm thinking about what I did and what I said and ooh, if I could have, and can I revisit that conversation? And next thing you know, I'm meditating like this because I'm back in a conversation from a couple of years ago, still trying to have it, still trying to get my point across. And then I go, oh, I went away, I tripped out. And I come back to the breath or my body so that I can relax and again be in the present moment. And through sitting and being still, your mind does get settled. Your body settles, your nervous system settles, your digestive system settles, everything settles, even some of those thoughts. And then you'll see, where do they come from? Out of nowhere, you'll get a thought. And eventually I can learn, do I need to think about how fast a hummingbird's wings go? No, I don't need to get caught up on that. I can say, ooh, thinking about hummingbirds. Oh, what's for dinner? Thinking about that, you know, and, or either I go, okay, thinking, and I let that go. And then something important will come up. Oh, I forgot to pay that bill, getting all tense, tight, planning in the future. And then, oh, as soon as I remember that I'm thinking, that's a moment of mindfulness. I need to check the time because I'm very passionate about this stuff, you guys. So I could go on and on and on. Let's see. Oh, some people say they do yoga. Yeah. Okay. Somebody has said that sometimes they tried meditation and it just made them hyper aware of all the things that are physically wrong with them. And so that does happen. And it's not, with that, some teachers say that explore that. explore that for yourself if you can. If it's really intense, you're not going to want to go there quite right away. But there's other things to focus on instead of the body. But you can explore it and say, what would I say? Oh, my back, I have a back issue. And so sometimes I get really caught up in the pain and this and that. So it's real, but at times I can go, okay, Ramona, how is the pain? Is it intense? Is it stinging? Is it burning? Is it throbbing? Is it constant? And as I explore it, I realize that even the pain changes. And another thing I do is make myself comfortable. I literally sit in a chair now. I don't have my dancer body anymore. I can't sit on the floor meditating cross-legged hours at a time. I have a chair, a big comfy chair. And within that chair, I have a special uh, a lumbar cushion, and I have a cushion that I sit on that's cut out so that I don't get so much pressure, so that I can sit and focus on something other than the pain. And there are actually some practices you might want to, Google online about practices where like mindfulness-based stress reduction, and then there's other practices that people do to help people work with things like chronic pain if it's chronic. If it's not chronic, or if you don't need additional support, if it's just, sometimes I get caught up in my own head with what's wrong with me. And in meditation, we learn through the practice to accept ourselves, to be fully present with what is, and know that everything changes eventually. Even if it's not in this lifetime, our bodies, our lives, we come to an ending. And so everything is impermanent. And that's a big part of the teaching, the Buddhist philosophy that I practice. And while we're just being mindful, if something's, you want to take note, can you make yourself more comfortable? Or can you focus on what we call a different meditation object? We do focus on body sensations sometimes, but can we focus on, you might want to focus on the breath. You might want to focus on sounds. And I'll talk about that when I lead the practice. And there are so many different times. Oh, somebody says, the ocean. Yes, I love the ocean too. Actually, what's really interesting is that I did like a, I don't know, 7 or 8 day retreat, and I had a really hard time. I was at home on Zoom. I wanted to do it, but by the time it came, I was like, ugh. It's kind of like sometimes I didn't feel like being a ballerina, and I I didn't want to go to class, but I would drag myself to class and just be like, nobody better not say nothing to me today. Don't tell me to put my shoulders down. Don't tell me to hold in my stomach, because I don't want to be a ballerina today. And I would do class, and eventually, that would pass. So anyway, I did this retreat, and by the end of the retreat, I was like, whoa, I got to go to the ocean. I need to get outside and get away and let the meditation in that way go. And I did. Meditating and practicing in nature is another wonderful experience. That's why it's so important for us, I believe, to take care of this earth and this planet, and to just be in touch with it if we can. Whether it's just stepping outside the door and taking a deep breath of fresh air, if your air is fresh that day, or going to the beach and listening to the ocean, or even online, you can get ocean wave sound. So that's a wonderful thing. So somebody said, ha ha, LOL. It's true. I didn't want to be a ballerina. Don't say nothing to me. But you go on with your practice, and eventually you work through it. And for me, dance, I believe now in hindsight, was my first embodied practice, my first embodied meditation practice. We had to be so focused. Like I said, coming in the sixth position, we had to get ready, find our quiet. I mentioned Metta Spagnardi last time, and she'd say, find your quiet, and get focused, get concentrated, get ready to go and get in touch with your body, from your toenails, from your toes to the top of your head, your lips. I mean, I lost a lot of that training now, because I when I catch myself making faces, I go, ooh, did I do all that when I was dancing? But we had to figure out a way to look like we were at ease. Yes, and at the same time, be ever so mindful in knowing what every aspect of our body was doing at any given time, including our relationship with other people. So coming to meditation practice, I still use some of my dance discipline. you know the thing I do not do so much anymore is I'm not worried about what I look like. Meditation doesn't have the same requirement in what I practice for the aesthetic. I can let that go in time. Sometimes I'm still worried. Am I doing it right? I used to peek. Well, I still peek. Open my eye. Ooh, they look like a really good meditator. I should sit like them. I need a cloth like that. Ooh, I should get another cushion. Then I can really look like I'm meditating well. Doesn't matter, but I'm conditioned to the aesthetic in dance of, it doesn't matter how you feel so much. If you feel good, good. If you don't, get your leg up anyway. Oh boy. All right, I'm gonna take a little breath. And I see your comments. Sleeping, that is so try. Focus, focus. I'm not sure what that means. But I have some notes just so I can stay on track. And it's almost going to be time for us to practice. Okay, I said that already. Just checking my cheat sheets. All right, so let's lean towards getting ready to practice. Going back to the non-judgment, really trying to let go of your judgment and just think of your meditation practice as something that is nourishing for you, something that will benefit your mind, your body, and your life. I can testify to that. Everything, I still have issues, still have problems, still get challenged, but I'm able to be with all of that differently sometimes. So be patient with yourself. It takes training for those of you that are dancers, or some of you may be doctors or philosophers or engineers. It takes training. So practice, but you don't have to practice with that endurance of getting somewhere. It's a different mind state. It's a different approach. It's practice by really doing nothing, just sitting there, being with yourself, and checking in on what's happening in the moment. And give yourself patience and allow things to just be. Even if there are things you might not like, it's not about fixing yourself. It's about accepting yourself just the way you are and accepting things just the way they are. And it doesn't justify that those things are okay, but if we can get in touch and be real, then we can make a choice on how we respond as opposed to just reacting out of habit, you know? So, speaking of how we look, in my tradition, in the Theravada tradition and in many Buddhist traditions, there are postures. The Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, laid out what is called the four foundations of mindfulness. This is from a sutta, which simply means a teaching of the Buddha called the Satipatthana Sutta, the mindfulness, the four foundations of mindfulness, or the mindfulness-based teachings. And in that, he talks about one of the foundations, which I'm only going to mention this one today. You can look up the other foundations if you're interested, but is the body, the very first one. Everything we need, the Buddha says, is in this fathom-long body. I had to look up fathom long, and what I remember is that it's about 6 feet. So basically, in your body, in this human body, everything you need to practice meditation and the Dhamma is here. It's great we have YouTube. It's great we have books and recordings. But the earth, the planet, nature, because we're part of nature, we've got everything we need. And in the body, there are different elements that you could practice with. The breath, sensations in the body, elements, earth, wind, fire, water, sound. You can use your senses, taste, vision, sensations, aromas. There's so much right here in the body. You don't need to go buy anything. So the four postures is also in this teaching, and it's sitting. You have a sitting posture, a walking posture, a standing posture, and a posture where you lie down. Today, I invite you to select either sitting, standing, or lying down. And that's because the walking practice is a whole nother set of instructions. You can be mindful when you walk. And if you want formal instructions, I'm sure you can find some of those online as well. So, but today we're going to practice in stillness. And I think my interpretation of the four postures is that the Buddha was telling us that we can be mindful all the time, not just sitting, but as we sit, going back to dance, how are you getting up from the floor? You can't just get up and then go into a beautiful arabesque, right? How are you getting up? Right. And so I think the transitions between sitting, standing, walking, and lying down invites us to practice in any way we are physically able to practice. And we all have different physical abilities. And so I invite you to find a comfortable posture at this time. Actually make yourself comfortable. Yes, and I'm looking for my bell so that I can get us going in a moment as you find your postures. All right. Yeah, so I see something about a book. I'm going to save that if you can remind me at the end to talk about books, but yeah, let me save that so we can get our 20 minutes of meditation in or so. Um, yeah, maybe I'm going to give us between 15 and 20 minutes. You don't need to worry about the time. I'm just giving you an idea so that you can truly let go and not worry about time, because time is relative. Some of you may feel like it was a quick meditation. Some may feel like it was too long. Some might feel everyone's going to have a different thing. So you don't need to know how long we're going to do. I'm giving you an estimate just because we're in a structured class, and give you an idea so you know that we're not going to be sitting for 2 hours. Because I know sometimes I go to a retreat and I'm like, are they going to ring the bell? And I'm looking. Teacher looks, I'm like, I hope they didn't fall asleep because, we've been sitting for a long time. Seems like the bell's never going to end. And then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, already? So time is relative. So yes, you can sit on the bed if you'd like. You can lay on the floor, sit in a chair. If you have a meditation cushion, sit on that. And you don't have to be in the cross-legged style. Sometimes I sit with the leg out. Really want you to be comfortable. And for our mindfulness practice today, I said that we were going to focus on the breath. And if the breath is not comfortable for you, if you're having trouble breathing or just for some other reason, actually for years I couldn't focus on the breath because I just couldn't even really find out where to focus. So, but I'm going to invite you to try to focus on the breath with me during this meditation, or using it as what we call an object of meditation or a focal point. If the breath is not accessible to you or in some way it is uncomfortable, then I invite you to listen to sounds. So when I say go back to the breath, I could say go back to opening up to sounds. You might hear a fan in the background, a car, fire engines, you know, you can do that. Or if let's see, yeah, I think, let's give that a try. Let's give the breath a try. Yeah. And if sounds don't work, then there are also bodily sensations. Like you might notice if you have an itch, can you watch that itch or something? But I'm gonna focus my offering on the breath. I just want to make sure that everyone's comfortable doing this practice, making sure that you can adjust the practice so that it's accessible for you. So yeah, you want to set up a space, get seated, and I'll ring a bell at the beginning of the practice. And I'll ring 3 bells at the end so that you know it's time to stop. So if you're comfortable closing your eyes, I invite you to do so. If you're not comfortable closing your eyes, then perhaps a low or soft focused gaze, that's okay too. And once your eyes are closed, let's take 3 deep breaths together. An inhale in and relax it out. Another inhale in and letting it go out. And this time, deeply breathe in, filling your lungs and your belly, and perhaps feeling the breath all the way down to your toes. And releasing and allowing yourself to find the natural rhythm of your own breath. And we'll do a body scan so that we know we are here and feel that we are here. Whatever posture you've chosen, pick or notice the touch points. If you're seated in a chair, you might feel your feet on the ground and your buttocks on the chair or the cushion. If you're in a chair, you might feel your back supported. If you're lying down, you might feel the back of your heels, the backs of your legs touching, and the buttocks and parts of your back, your shoulders and your head. And if you're standing, the bottom of the bottom of your feet, rooted and relaxed like a tree. So just know where the contact is happening between you and whatever solid surface you're on. Feeling the earth element in the floor and the chair and the bed. And feel the weight of your body. And see if you can release a little bit more. Wherever you might feel tension, let it go. And know that the earth can sincerely hold it all. We are of the earth. We are not separate. Gravity reminds me of a gentle hug that the planet offers me to stay connected. So feel your toes relax, the bottoms of your feet, the tops of your feet, your ankles. Feel your legs, the lower part of your legs. Just notice that your body is there. Your knees, your thighs, your hips, your pelvis. Relax. Feel into them. Go up your spine, all the way, your lower back, your middle back, your neck. Can you breathe into the spaces between the vertebrae? And let the shoulder blades drop. And then move to the front of the body. Notice your rib cage, the front, the side ribs, the back ribs. Do you feel your breath? as the rib cage expands and releases. Back up to your clavicle bones, the bones that go across your front of your chest, leading out to your shoulders. Let your shoulders release your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, the palms of your hands, the backs of your hands, the fingers. Traveling back up to the neck, and notice how the skull sits resting. If you need to turn your head a little bit just so that you can get some release, that's okay. And once your skull is settled and your head is settled, relax the skin of your face, the creases between your nose and the cheek. Release the jawbone and the tongue, your eyelids, your eyeballs, your ears, your forehead, and the skin on your scalp. Just relax. And now see if you can be aware of your breath. The inhale, the exhale. Where do you notice it? You might feel it in your nostrils or your upper lip, in your throat, in your chest or your belly. Find your breath and your rhythm. No need to count. Just get in touch. Be in the moment. Be mindful of your breath as it goes in and out. And a reminder for those that are not focusing on the breath, to apply the same comment or context to sound or sensations in your body. If your mind has drifted off to a thought, come back to the breath and begin again, following the inhale and the exhale, noticing if it's long or short, cool or hot. The breath can be subtle. So I invite you, if you're feeling the need to get more in touch with the physical feeling, rest your hand on your belly or your chest and be mindful of the sensations, the physical sensations of the expansion and release as you inhale and exhale. Beginning again. And while you're breathing, there might still be sounds in the distance or nearby. It's okay. We're being silent. The world has not stopped. See if you can give yourself some spaciousness around the sounds and just allow them to be there. Even if it's not pleasant, notice it's there, allow it into the realm, and see if you can let go of the resistance to anything that might be disturbing your meditation. It might even be my voice or my words. It's okay. Let them be in the background. Focusing back on the breath. Anytime you feel you've drifted off into thought or another sensation, allow yourself to gently return to the breath, to continue to begin again. Allow yourself to ease back into the room. Maybe wiggle your toes, your fingers. Open your eyes and remind yourself where you are. And just check in with yourself. How are you now in this present moment? Are you here? And do you know that you're here? Thank you for your practice. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to share this phenomenal teaching with you, or techniques and things. One thing I wanted to mention was that it's a self-care thing for me too. And I know sometimes I've felt guilty, like, how can I just be sitting here doing nothing when there's so much going on in the world? And two things remind me. First, I'm going to share this quote again because it's one of my favorites. And it's Audre Lorde saying, caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. And then again, in the teachings, the trainings that I have as a Buddhist practitioner, we're taught that, by cultivating patience with ourselves, kindness, compassion, love for ourselves, that we are bringing that energy into the world. And wow, does the world need it now with COVID-19, political upheaval, social injustice, so much, economic strain. So as we care for ourselves, we are caring for others. And if we take time for ourselves, we also rejuvenate and recharge so that we can even just face another day, you know, whether you're on the picket lines or not, in the marches or not, face another day so that you can function in your best way possible. And one more quote before we go into the Q&A is from the Dalai Lama's little book of wisdom, His Holiness. So as far as our contact with fellow human beings is concerned, our mental attitude is very crucial. Even for a non-believer, just a simple, honest being, the ultimate source of happiness is in our mental attitude. Even if you have good health, material facilities, used in the proper way, and in good relations with other human beings, the main cause of a happy life is within. And it may not be constant, but when we touch into that, when I touch into that, it's reassuring that regardless of what's happening in the world, regardless of the conditions, the external conditions, I can find peace, happiness, and freedom in this fathom-long body with all that it brings. So I'm happy to take questions. Somebody asked about a book, and I thought I'd ask you to just Google a beginner's meditation book. But when I first started, there was so much information, and I was so excited once I started my formal training that and I can get really into that. I got to read, I got to do it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it was like, you know what? One of the teachers again said, you will remember what you need to remember, and you will practice what you remember. And when you're ready for something else, it'll be presented to you. And I heard just recently the other night, I was listening to something or reading something that was like practicing, um, practicing, I forgot. It just went out my mind. That's another thing I learned to do, is let it go. It might come back to me. In the meantime, I'm going to switch to the chat, but it was something about practicing all the time, but I forgot. I'm 54 years old and I just let it go. I don't stress out about it. I see someone laughing with me. So someone said, thanks, that went well, except I wound up falling asleep. Yeah, because you get relaxed. Absolutely. Somebody else almost slept. Someone was having some discomfort in their knees and they'll try again tomorrow. Yes, find a different posture. Prop yourself up on some pillows or get some arnica gel. I guess I shouldn't be marketing stuff, but to help ease and heal the pain, but you notice that. Do you know what's going on with your knees? That's another point of mindfulness. Yeah, my knees have been crazy lately. And so it's like, oh, maybe I need to look at that instead of plowing through the world. And oh, yes, accepting yourself. Any other questions? Any questions about either mindfulness or my dance career in the chat? Give you some time to think about it. You might be in such a relaxed state. Well, I'm going to put something in there and just say thank you. Beginner's mind. Oh, where did I learn ballet? So you know what? I learned ballet in elementary school. I grew up in the time of the latchkey kids, and my mom was a single mom for a little while, and from the second half of my life, and after that. So she wanted me to do something after school. I had this. That's when there was funding in the schools, and you could have extracurricular activities. And so I wanted to sign up for pottery, but my mom said, why don't you try ballet? And I'm like, what's ballet? And she said, just try it. And well, that was said and done. So I learned my first ballet lesson was in public school, after school programs. And then I followed that teacher to a community center. And then eventually I started reading and researching and realizing that I really wanted to get more in depth. And I went to different schools and realized I was way behind, but I ended up at the time it was called East Bay Ballet Theater. Right now it's called Berkeley City Ballet. And that's where I began my ballet training, my serious training. And I stayed there until I was 18 when I went to Dance Theater of Harlem to continue my professional training and career. Um, some people say they can meditate with someone guiding me, but not by myself. That's okay. There's an app called the Insight Timer, and it's free. You can upgrade like most apps to something else, but I've been using the free app, and I could either set a bell for myself, a beginning bell or an ending bell. And then they also have meditations, you could look up different types, sleeping meditation, sitting meditation. I do yoga nidra meditation every night to help me fall asleep. Sometimes 2 or 3 times when I can't really sleep. As much meditating as I do, my mind still goes. So yeah, Insight Timer. And why did we start in sixth position at DTH? I don't know. It was a tradition and I just did what I was told. But we started in sixth, but I guess what we did was we went forward all the way down and rolled up the spine and then back. So I think it was a way to kind of just loosen the spine and the body before we began, with in first position. It was a way to bring the class together. Now that I think about it, to connect and to get started and to get centered. But maybe you can ask a current dancer. Why does anyone know why we start in sixth position? I don't remember how that started. Anything else? Let's see. Well, you know what? Somebody's asking me, how are the guided meditations that you can find on YouTube? Are there any you recommend? I haven't really explored YouTube for my meditation practice. The first time that I experienced meditation on YouTube was when I did my first live stream for DTH. So I'm not sure, but the Insight meditation timer is great. That's what I can recommend. And you don't see people, but you hear them, and you can put your earplugs on or earbuds on, and that's the way I do it. And I sit by myself, but it takes practice. Sometimes I sit outside. Let's see. In Little Light, I think you taught me how to jump. What? Ooh. Oh my God, I'm ashamed to read this one, but somebody said, "I think you taught me how to jump the turnstile at the 145th Street station. I was broken hungry and couldn't finish summer camp. Thanks for today." And that banana that was your lunch so long ago, I still eat bananas almost every day, and I still keep a banana in my bag because I'm still always hungry. I haven't lost a pound. My appetite did not go down, but my metabolism did. And yes, oh my goodness. Yeah, jumping the turnstile. Really? I did that? Oh, oh, who were the teachers at DTH and what was the school of training? French, Fagavana, or Balanchine? Oh, we, I was going to mention that about, how there's different meditation styles and Buddhist traditions. There are different, it's just like in ballet where we have French technique, Italian technique, Vaganova, Balanchine, and Russian. And to my knowledge, if I remember correctly, Russian technique was our predominant practice at Dance Theater of Harlem. However, I do remember in the school, we had to study all of them. We had to study French and we had to study, what was the other one? There was the other one, Russian, French, and Italian techniques. Those were the basics. And we did do Balanchine. We absolutely did Balanchine. Mr. Mitchell was one of the first professional male African-American dancer at New York City Ballet, and he was trained by Balanchine, and he brought that to us at Dance Theater of Harlem. And I love that Balanchine, it had some funk in it. And who were the teachers? Let's see. We had in the school, we had Meta Spagnardi, who I mentioned, Evie Lynn, she was Russian strong like bull. We had Iris Cloud, Homer Bryant, Schaffenberg, Miss Schaffenberg, Nancy Schaffenberg, and Rachel Secchi taught us tap. Yeah, those are who's coming to mind right now. So forgive me if I forget anyone. Those were in the school when I was in training. And you're welcome for the banana. I still get teased for keeping snacks in my bag. My daughter's laughing. And did I get to dance? No, okay. Did I get to dance in the Creole Giselle film? No, I did not get to dance in the film. However, I did have the privilege and opportunity to dance in the Creole Giselle. I was a Willie, and I guess I was in the first act, one of those, not one of the little girls or the six girls, but one of the, what were they called? The townspeople, the village people. So Giselle's one of my favorite ballets. Oh my goodness. And Creole Giselle, I love the way that Mr. Mitchell and Dance Theater of Harlem really took something, there was what can I say? There was traditional Giselle based in Europe somewhere, and he brought it to the United States and set it in Louisiana in the bayou, so that we were people of color doing ballet, but doing it with a sense of our own roots. And for me, that's why I stayed there so long. It's like I had thought about other places, but I really needed that cultural engagement in my dancing. Yeah, and if you can watch Creole Giselle, I think it's beautiful, really beautiful. We did a lot of things. Well, hey, that's what we do as people of African descent and people of other cultures, BIPOC people. We bring it. We bring our flavor to the dish. And I believe that there was a time this summer when DTH was streaming some of the films and videos of the ballets that were produced and published for public viewing. So it is 5:15. I want to make sure that I end in a timely way, especially since we had a late start due to some technical difficulties. But again, time is relative. We still got our 45 minutes to an hour, and I really appreciate you all waiting for us to resolve the technical issues. And if I'm invited back again, I would love for you to join me. I would love, feedback. I don't know how that gets offered. And Also, there was something else I wanted to let you know about. I have a website. I didn't have one before when I did this last time. So if you want to keep in touch with me, you can visit me at www.freespirit.com. That's FREESPI. Oh, I guess I could put it in the chat. I'm getting used to this chat thing, you guys. Did I spell it right? Okay. And yeah, that's really about it. Uh, thank you. Thank you, and be well, and take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and be gentle with yourself and your practice. Namaste is what I say at the end of my practices. And the interpretation of that that I like is I bow to the divine spirit in you, as well as the divine spirit within my own being, and the divine spirit in all of phenomena. Be well.